Hi, this is Cash, and thanks for watching this little portion of the KashCast. This one comes from last Saturday night in the United States, Sunday morning for us here in Japan. This video looks at the greatest lineup order in Major League Baseball history. Right now, we are going through an apocalypse of non-sports, and baseball is supposed to be in full swing, and we're having withdrawals. So the best way to handle withdrawals is to reach back to your past. And in this case, we're going to look at the greatest lineup orders ever. Just one. And when I say the greatest lineup order, I'm not necessarily talking about the greatest players, but the greatest lineup order for someone in a certain position who was great in that position, had to play some good in the field, and had to be an immaculate pitcher. Didn't necessarily have to be for an entire career, but just a great lineup order. So I put that to Sports Talk. I got some great responses, and I'll tell you what, chime in again. Tell me whether you like my list or not, because I know it was late in the show, and well, it was pretty late back in the States. So I did want this to get out there, and I want you guys to see it, and please chime in. Also, do me a favor. If you can like my channel, which I think is right here. I think it's right there. If you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, gunning for 1,000. By that time, it might be $7. Who knows? But subscribe, tell your friends, like the link, put it on your wall, do whatever you can. But I appreciate it, and I thank you for watching the video. Hey, I've been chiming on this. I've been talking about it. Now that we are in the apocalypse, we have been coming up with things to do in sports talk. And even on my page, there's a lot of people that aren't in the group that are big baseball fans. In my group, Cash's Giants group, and then there's some that on my personal wall. There's friends that aren't in any of the groups, and there's even a Derek Weatherford's 49er page. I know there's some baseball fans in there. Here's what's been going on. People have been coming up with their all-time lineup. Cough, not COVID. And it was Chris Simpson actually said, "Hey, look, I'm going to do one pre-1980," and he put one out there, and there's a lot of good takes on it. And since we're running out of subjects, I don't know what the hell we're going to talk about. It is a sports talk show with other things involved. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I thought, you know what? A lineup order. Not the greatest in every position, but come up with your best lineup. That's it. Your best lineup. Doesn't have to be the greatest in every position, but hey, look, if you're going to put somebody out there, if you're going to put someone in a position to win games, a lineup order for the specifics on what each position 1 through 9 is supposed to do. And yes, I put the DH in. All right, if I didn't put the DH in, it would be easy. Babe Ruth would still be in there. But hey, I came up with mine. I will look at yours. All right? I will look at yours, and you will tell me. In fact, I've got it up right now on Sports Talk. All right? So here we go. 1 through 9, a right-hander, a left-hander, and a reliever. And this is going to piss a lot of you people off, but I don't care. It's mine. Mine. If you want a leadoff hitter, you want someone who's going to get on base. You don't care how. You don't care if they hit 350. You don't care. You want that individual to get on base with the premise of getting to third with less than 2 outs. This guy didn't need 2 outs. He got on base. He got to second. And if you weren't careful, he was going to take third, and that's Ricky Henderson, Oakland A's. His on-base percentage, over 400. For a leadoff hitter, I mean, let me tell you, I've never seen a guy work his strike zone like Ricky Henderson. Never. I mean, the dude had a very keen eye for a lead. And like I said, he would be on third base within 3 pitches. All right, and then the pitcher would be so worried about him, they would serve something up. And Dwayne Murphy was the one of the Oakland A's who really fed off of that early in his career. And look at that uniform. Look at that pullover top. Oakland. That's a Yankee in the background. Plus, he almost hit 300 home runs. He holds the record for most leadoff homers. You can't beat Ricky Henderson. There's one. I've been thumbing through it, looking at some of them, and I'll look at them here in a little bit. But Henderson leading off. You need your second hitter to actually hit the ball. All And by the way, Ricky Henderson would be starting in left field, even more specific, left field. You need your second hitter to actually pull him over or just make contact, all right? Hit the ball to the right side, hit the ball wherever the ball needs to be hit. Your second hitter has to have that. Also helps if they hit over 400, which this guy did a lot, and that's Rogers Hornsby. And this is when he's pretty much known for being a St. Louis Cardinal. Won the World Series, kind of an asshole. Rogers Hornsby is going to be hitting second for me. Only in a 23-year career, he only struck out 679 times. The man hit 358. Last right-handed hitter to hit 400. Roger Hornsby is going to hit second for me. Fiery guy. Played good defense. Played with those big gloves. You know, the ones that look like, hey, here's a slab of metal. Just put it on. That was him. So hitting second for me, Rogers Hornsby. Not Roger Hornsby. Rogers Hornsby. I think he was from Winters, Texas, too. So you can't beat that. It's a Texas guy. When it comes to hitting third, that's your best hitter. That's a guy who can drive in runs. He has speed. And again, this lineup order was made with the intent of they had to play some good defense too, and this guy was stellar in the field. He was a 5-tool player, 660 homers, and he also served during Korea. You can't beat this guy. That's Willie Mays. Willie Mays is going to hit third in my lineup order. Hit 302, 338 steals, stellar in the outfield. And I want you to know, he had 660 home runs, but he also had to play at the wind-struck Candlestick in the first 7 years of his career. He was actually playing in New York. That's Vic Wirtz. That's the 1954 World Series. That's 480 feet away. And Willie Mays was a hitter that liked to go up the middle. And the funny thing is he'll tell you he had it all the way. And it was Bob Feller was sitting in the bullpen, which is actually out there in the outfield. Said as soon as it left the bat, he knew he was going to catch it. But he's the GOAT. My opinion, Willie Mays, hitting third. Your cleanup hitter needs to drive in runs, needs to strike fear into the opposing pitcher. And, of course, anytime you have a greatest of all-time list, Babe Ruth has got to be on there. There's your cleanup hitter. 714 home runs, 342 batting average. I mean, what else can you get? The guy got on base 47% of the time. Babe Ruth. And if you need an emergency pitcher, there's your guy. Held the record for a long time for most scoreless innings in a World Series. That's skinny Babe right there. That's Babe power right there. That's when he was actually in some type of shape. Then, of course, the booze, the broads, the cigars, the hot dogs. Finally caught up with him. Can you imagine if he'd just kept in shape his whole career? Don't do that with your Babe Ruth. The legend doesn't grow if you do that. Babe Ruth is hitting fourth in my lineup order. Agree, disagree, let me know afterwards. I'll look at the comments. The fifth one's going to surprise a lot of people, but the guy has probably one of the best stat lines in baseball loves their records. They love their numbers, and this number is just astounding to me because he had 1,815 hits on the road, 1,815 hits at home. He hit 331. He hit 475 homers in pitchers' parks. And when I say pitchers' parks, I mean these were 480-foot blast in a lot of them, and this guy could freaking hit. And every time you see a sweet swing, people always sit there and say, man, that guy's swing reminds me of Stan the Man. Stan Musial is hitting fifth for me. 22-year career. He was always going to get hits. Stan Musial didn't care where he was at. He can be at home. He can be on the road. Didn't matter. Stan Musial was going to hit wherever he played. And that's my fifth hitter. Plus, you need your fifth hitter's got to clean up for the guy hitting fourth, which is Babe Ruth, 342. But still, Stan Musial is hitting fifth for me. This next guy is my sixth hitter. 548 home runs, and I mean he scared opposing pitchers because when he was, first of all, perfect swing, nice, compact, and it was a run producer, and he's probably the greatest to play that position. And look at that. Look at that picture. That's Michael Jack Schmidt. Look at that. 1,600 RBIs, a little over 1,600 RBIs, or just under, I should say. But here's the thing gets lost on Schmidt is he won 10 gold gloves. The guy was solid at third base. I mean, granted, he wasn't the Brooks Robin-esque type where he was a human vacuum cleaner, but the guy was, you don't win 10 gloves on accident. And let me tell you, when he retired, Chicago Cubs fans I think they were going to have a parade in his honor. Look at that picture. That's 1976. Look at bench. Gee, where the hell did you hit that thing? Michael Jack Schmidt is hitting sixth. The seventh one, again, is going to ruffle some feathers. But you can't argue it. Can't argue it at all. Because they say this guy was like having four outfielders. He had a gun. He had a gun for an arm. And all he did was hit. And he hit in a big ballpark in Pittsburgh. And this is Roberto Clemente. Here's his numbers. 3,000 hits exactly. 317 batting average. 12-time Gold Glove winner. And 4 batting titles. You don't do that. Again, not on accident. And the thing is you did not run on Roberto Clemente. And what a human. What a human being Roberto Clemente was. And we know what happened to him. He died on Christmas Eve in Nicaragua trying to get them some aid after an earthquake. He sent them some aid before, but drug lords and warlords would take the food for themselves, and now he went down there to make sure that they got the food to him, and he never made it. But on the field, what a gun. And he played in Pittsburgh. Another thing about Roberto Clemente is the Pirates had an announcer. His name was Bob Prince. Good announcer. One of those typical announcers that had smoked 3 packs a day, had a deep voice, and he would call him Bobby Clemente. And Roberto Clemente is like, hey man, my name's not Bobby, it's Roberto. Call me Roberto. And he did. So hitting 7th for me, Roberto Clemente. Even though this guy's hitting 8th, he was not your typical prototype catcher. Had power. Boy, he could call a game. And you did not steal on him because he had a gun. And not only did he have a gun, he can put it exactly where he wanted. Hitting 8th for me, number 5 from the Cincinnati Reds, Johnny Bench. And I picked this picture on purpose because that's Tom Seaver getting ready to hit. And actually, Tom Seaver had some great years with the Reds, and Johnny Bench was his catcher for a lot of those. But Johnny Bench, when his rookie year, he was rookie of the year. I think he hit 45 home runs. 389 from behind the plate, 267 average, almost 1,400 RBIs, and that was coming from the catcher's position. So you couldn't look at them nice sideburns too. This is a guy who would catch 150 games a year. In fact, as I'm doing this, COVID is grabbing me. So there's my 8th hitter, Johnny Bench. I mean, the Big Red Machine was all about him. Let me pull that up here. And hitting 9th is my shortstop. There are some who've put up some great numbers. Don't get me wrong. There are some baseball players tomorrow. Again, I'm getting an invite for COVID stuff. God, that's going to go away. Back to what I was saying. I seen this guy play in San Diego, and he made a play that I've never seen before. Ball hit a rock, got hit behind him, and he reached back, grabbed it with his bare hand, threw the guy out. And then he made his mark when he was a Cardinal, and that's the Wiz. Look at the Wizard, Ozzie Smith. Granted, he only hit 262. But actually he became a better hitter later in his career when he figured it out. But boy, if you're having the greatest lineup order of all time and you're going to take on another great lineup order of all time, you're going to need somebody that can stop the ball, and there was nobody better than Oz. When I just looked, I got 3 Cardinals on that team. Good Lord, shoot me. Maybe more. So there you go, 1 through 9. Now, I got a right-hander I got to throw out there. It could go a lot. Clements, Mathewson, Johnson. My money is Greg Maddux. 355 wins. And let me tell you, the guy dominated. The guy dominated the 90s. I was just sitting there. Usually you say, yeah, for a 4 or 5 year period. No, Maddox was. He didn't overpower you. Actually, he had a great run in the late 80s too. But Greg Maddux would paint corners, and he would just hit the glove consistently. Batters would walk out thinking that he would throw it outside and it would break back over. Left-handers couldn't hit him. Nobody could hit him. And then as the game went on with Maddux, he would keep the strike zone would just start to edge out a little bit more and a little bit more. And the umpire was going to go against him because he was Greg Maddux. He was hitting the glove. And I'm telling you, for about a 10-year period, when every time Maddux went out there to pitch, that was it. 355 wins, 18 Gold Gloves. You couldn't hit anything by him. 4 Cy Youngs. Ran the treadmill naked. True story. Crazy guy. Have you ever seen that video clip a couple years ago when Chris Bryant was, he's a Las Vegas guy. So is Maddux. And Chris Bryant was going to make a video for something, and the pitcher didn't show up, and they had the video guy there, and the guy holding the microphone. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I'll post it. And the guy holding the microphone had a beard and looked old. He says, "I'll pitch to you." And he goes out there and pitches, and Bryant's having trouble hitting the ball. He's like, "Who the hell is this guy?" The guy pulls off his stuff. It's Greg Maddux. Maddux. For my money, Maddux was, at that point, he was probably the best right-hander I've ever seen. So now I need a lefty. Didn't watch this guy play. I said in one of the things, Steve Carlton was probably one of the greatest lefties ever, and I put him on my all-time list. But for a 5-year period, nobody was better than that guy. Nobody was better than that guy. Tipped his pitches at Sandy Koufax of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I mean, between the years of 1962 to 1966, Vin Scully said it best about him. You thought he was going to go throw a no-hitter every time he went out to pitch. Every time he went out to pitch, you thought he was going to throw a no-hitter. 5-year period, 5 ERA titles, 3 times he won the pitching triple crown. And that's wins, strikeouts, and ERA. 3 times he won it in that 5-year period. And I was comparing numbers when Madison Bumgarner, people say he's the greatest World Series pitcher ever. But if you look at his numbers with Koufax, they're like microscopic to one another. So Koufax was nails. So for that, if I need a lefty in his heyday, retired at 30, said he didn't want to take medicine the rest of his life. So it's kind of a trendsetter back then. Finally, who am I going to give the rock to? This is where people are going to lose their shit. I don't care. It's my list. If I need someone to close out a game, and when he was in his heyday, after his days as a starting pitcher were done, Dennis Eckersley was solid. I mean, Dennis Eckersley, they called him car keys. When he came to pitch, people would walk out. That's ball game. We're out. Plus, he almost has 200 wins. 390 saves to go along with 200 wins. And he didn't start closing games until late in his career. And then when he started, he was nails. He threw one backdoor slider that Kirk Gibson knew was coming. And if you haven't seen the interview with Dennis Eckersley and Kirk Gibson, it's actually a pretty good interview. As a reliever, he won the Cy Young. The only one I can think of that did that was Willie Hernandez of the Detroit Tigers, who also was nails. But Eckersley was just unbelievable. So that's it. That's my list. That's the right. And you know what's going to happen? A couple days later, I'll probably change my mind. But that's the beauty of baseball, and that's where we're at right now. Is a lot of us are just going to Netflix and picking out our best games and watching them on.